Welcome to this investigative explainer. Today, we're cutting through the rumors and diving straight into the deliberate disappearance of flight MH370 and that deeply unsettling wall of government silence that followed it. We're going to look strictly at the raw data, the glaring timeline gaps, and the undeniable inconsistencies in what is arguably the biggest mystery in modern aviation history. It's time to examine what the evidence actually shows, and more importantly, exactly what has been withheld from us.
Good night, Malaysian 370. Think about that. Those are the chilling, literal last words spoken by Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah to air traffic control. It was 1:19 a.m. on March 8, 2014, just a routine red-eye flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. But almost immediately after those words were spoken, this massive Boeing 777 completely vanished from civilian radar. And here's the thing. It wasn't because it crashed. It wasn't some freak storm. It vanished because someone manually turned the tracking systems off.
That final, calm sign-off leaves us staring at a terrifying reality. 239 people from 14 different countries just disappeared on one of the safest commercial planes ever built. And here we are, 12 years later, with absolutely zero answers.
Section 1. A deliberate disappearance.
Okay, let's break down this minute-by-minute timeline because this is where things get really suspicious. Everything is completely nominal up until 1:19 a.m., but look at what happens exactly 2 minutes later. At 1:21 a.m., the transponder goes completely dead. Now you might be wondering, why then? Well, this is the exact, precise moment the plane was being handed off from Kuala Lumpur Air Traffic Control to Vietnam Air Traffic Control. It is a known radar blind spot. The plane made a U-turn at the exact second Kuala Lumpur thought it was gone, and Vietnam was just sitting there waiting for a call that never came. That regional airspace gap was deliberately and expertly exploited. So this exposes a staggering failure in international security. You really have to ask yourself, why did the Malaysian military watch a rogue heavy aircraft fly the completely wrong way for an hour and say absolutely nothing? A totally separate military radar system actually tracked MH370 flying back over the Malay Peninsula until 2:22 a.m. Yet no fighter jets were scrambled, no alarms went off. They literally just watched this massive aircraft drift over sleeping towns and out over the Andaman Sea.
Section 2. The electronic breadcrumbs. Now, on a Boeing 777, you cannot just accidentally bump a switch and turn these tracking systems off. It doesn't work like that. The ACARS system, which is what transmits the engine health data, went dark at 1:07 a.m. But the transponder, which actually gives the plane's radar identification, wasn't disabled until 1:21 a.m. Severing both of these requires two completely separate, deliberate actions. It's like having to go down and trip specific, hidden circuit breakers. This was done by someone with an intimate, expert-level knowledge of Boeing systems.
But the thing is, the aircraft wasn't entirely silent. It left behind these tiny electronic breadcrumbs known as satellite handshakes. So even after civilian radar lost the plane, an Inmarsat satellite way up in geostationary orbit was exchanging these automated hour-by-hour pings with MH370. Now, it wasn't sending GPS coordinates, it was just a raw electronic pulse, basically a heartbeat saying, hey, I'm still here. By crunching some incredibly complex math on these handshakes, investigators were actually able to trace a flight path deep into the southern Indian Ocean, along what we now call the 7th arc.
7. The very last satellite handshake happened at 8:11 a.m. Let that sink in. That means after the plane went totally dark, a deliberate, calm human being piloted this aircraft for 7 hours in the dark, guiding 239 souls into literally the most remote, volatile ocean on the face of the Earth.
And forensic evidence found back on land paints an even more disturbing picture. The FBI managed to analyze Captain Zahari's personal flight simulator hard drive. And what did they find? They recovered a deleted, simulated flight path straight down into the southern Indian Ocean. And he executed this less than a month before the actual disappearance. So what was the Malaysian government's official response to this massive, glowing red flag? They publicly dismissed it. They literally called it, quote, nothing sinister. I mean, are you kidding me?
Section 3. Government silence and delays. This is where the investigation just transforms into a frustrating geopolitical maze. On one side, you have the Malaysian government waiting an agonizing 6 days to finally admit their military radar tracked the plane making a U-turn. That is 6 absolutely crucial days entirely wasted searching the wrong ocean. And on the other side, well, MH370's path took it right toward the general direction of Diego Garcia, which is a highly advanced U.S. military base in the Indian Ocean.
The United States claims Diego Garcia detected nothing. But here we are, 12 years later, and they still flat-out refuse to release the raw radar data to independently prove it.
Section 4. Debris and Deep Sea Limits.
So let's talk about the physical evidence, because in February 2025, a highly specific forensic anomaly popped up. A 1-meter spoiler fragment was discovered over in South Africa. But aviation investigators immediately noticed something totally baffling. The condition of the paint on this fragment was completely inconsistent with a piece of metal that had spent over a decade soaking in corrosive salt water. It's a huge technical discrepancy. It directly challenges our established timeline of the crash, and yet authorities have offered zero explanation for it.
And physical anomalies like this just add fuel to the conflict surrounding the multi-million-dollar search effort. See, the official safety reports assume the plane just ran out of fuel and went into a catastrophic, uncontrolled dive. But a peer-reviewed 2024 independent scientific finding reanalyzed those final satellite signals, and they suggest the plane actually made a controlled eastward descent. So what does that mean for us? It means if these independent aviation experts are right, the current official search methodology is essentially looking in the completely wrong place.
To be fair, today's investigators are up against some pretty staggering physical and technological limitations. In 2025, Malaysia signed a $70 million no-find, no-fee contract with the marine robotics firm Ocean Infinity. They're trying to scour a 15,000 square kilometer area, plunging 4,000 meters deep into incredibly volatile waters. And the tools we normally rely on? Useless. The black box acoustic pinger batteries expired just 30 days after the crash. Their range is totally gone. They're completely silent down there. Desperate for a fresh lead, searchers are even turning to experimental methods, like tracing passive amateur radio signals, just hoping this emerging tech might finally reveal the true flight path that governments previously ignored.
Section 5. The Search for Truth.
As of March 2026, it has been 12 years. That's 12 agonizing years for the families of the passengers. We're talking about people who have drained their life savings just fighting for basic transparency. They have no confirmed answers, they have no justice, and they don't even have graves to visit. Just a relentless wall of government silence trying to cover up a massive international aviation failure.
The absolute most crucial takeaway from all of this is the unending plea from the families themselves. Find the plane. Tell the truth. Give us our people back. Look, MH370 isn't just some fun internet mystery to solve. It's an unresolved, catastrophic failure of international aviation law and a tragedy involving 239 actual human beings. Those black boxes are still down there. They are holding every spoken word and every pressed button from that cockpit. So the real question is, will the truth remain permanently buried under 4,000 meters of freezing water, or will the governments of the world finally break their silence and reveal what they actually know? Let that sink in, and keep asking questions.